All right, let's get into what we're going to get into, man. If you didn't catch the news this morning, I tell you, rumor has it this was an E3 leak. Or an E3 announcement that wasn't leaked, I should say. Rumor has it that this was probably something cooking for a long time. I'm going to click on this link that Judge dropped. Judge coming in hot right now, which I appreciate. Let me click on the link over here. Rumor has it that this could have been something big. Jason Schreier 10 hours ago. Interesting. I didn't see this. All-encompassing link. Yeah, definitely a good drop there. I like that. That's a good link of information. So what the hell happened, right? We want to know the question, the answer. The tea has already been spilt. We know what's going on. Microsoft acquires ZeniMax / Bethesda Game Studios, GameWorks, Softworks, whatever you want to call it. $7.5 billion in cash. What does that mean? We have to put things into perspective when we're talking about trillion-dollar companies. This is not Xbox and Sony. Xbox and PlayStation. This is Microsoft and Sony. We're 2 levels above this. Oh, yeah. We know that this has been in the works for a while. This type of acquisition does not come short and sweet. This is a long, drawn-out process. Back the truck up, Jerry. That's what they said. Back the truck up. We're trying to. You got go to the bank and try to get $7.5 billion in cash. See how long that takes. They don't print enough money in one country in cash to make that a reality. Let's go. It's pocket change. Light work. And I say it's light work, actually, JM. Dunk's Dynasty in the building. Appreciate that. Appreciate you, man. We say light work. We say Bank of Bill Gates. Exactly, Judge. Exactly. Reason being that we say that, right? We have to actually look at why we think that this is actually not a big deal for Microsoft. The reason it's not a big deal for Microsoft, Bethesda was purchased for $7.5 billion with a B dollars today in cash. Not stock options, not secondary options, not first right of ownership. No, $7.5 billion in cash. If we tally up the entire company of Sony's 2013 to 2019 operating profit, $8.8 billion. Microsoft just said to Sony, this is 2 different levels. This is not the same conversation we're having. It's kind of cute. Sony, you want to love exclusives. Sony, you want to be for the gamers. We talked about that last week, by the way. Is Sony really for the gamers? It's not. That'll be up on our YouTube this week for you to watch if you missed it. Definitely take a look at that. Sony turns around and says, okay, we're going to go more games on timed exclusives. Okay, fine. Now we're going in. Pre-orders will not go live at midnight. Microsoft has already said when pre-orders are going to go live. I don't imagine it will. I will check, but I doubt that is actually fact. I would doubt that for sure. This is a different type of marketing plan for Xbox Game Studios. By acquiring this much of a studio is almost unheard of in today's climate. At total, it's 9 game studios, first and foremost. That's the crazy part. It's 9. How many horse armors did Microsoft? How many oxen did Microsoft just buy in Oregon Trail? A lot. Bet Bethesda's happy they gave us all those expansion and in-game purchases that make them bank now. Yeah, right? So what does this mean for the games? This is quite a lineup of games. It's Alpha Dog Studios, Arcane Studios, Bethesda Game Studios, Bethesda Softworks, ID Software, Machine Games, Roadhouse Studios, Tango Gameworks, and ZeniMax Online Studio. All of these companies are subsidiaries or in relation to what Bethesda is doing at scale underneath the umbrella company ZeniMax. What does this mean to you, the gamer? It means your favorite games let alone the mobile and the third-party titles that they're working on that are coming up or might not be as popular, but we're talking about Prey and Dishonored and Fallout and Quake and ESO and Elder Scrolls and Skyrim and Doom and Wolfenstein and Rune and Evil Within and Ghostwire Tokyo. It's all of the games that you've been paying attention to for a long time. More importantly, it is games with loyal fan bases that might not have looked at Xbox before. We know that like Elder Scrolls and other games are showing up and back and forth. Wolfenstein kind of comes up on Xbox from time to time. We see that partnerships with Game Pass, Fallout 76 being included in that. If you put the cookie crumbles together, you kind of know it's coming, right? But if you're not paying attention to it, you're like, wow, this came out of nowhere. But they've really been laying the groundwork for something this big for a long time. What does this mean to the gamer that has Game Pass? I'm so glad you asked. Day one, the entire catalog, when new games drop, will be live in Game Pass on launch day. I keep trying to figure out how anybody can say Game Pass is a bad idea. It's not. $15 a month gets you gold. 300 games plus in Xbox Game Pass. 100 games plus soon to be in PC Game Pass. EA Play included at holiday. The ability to play on any device and xCloud game streaming or cloud streaming for $15 a month. Now you can definitely hear it. World exclusive. World premiere. It's too good of a deal. Now I got to question a couple of things. First and foremost, funniest thing on the planet. Xbox now owns 2 timed exclusives on Sony. Number one, I don't know why I don't use an audio clip for world premiere. I should use that more often. And you get to play with Dunks for $15. Not available on iOS for reasons that are completely on Apple. Here's where we're going with this conversation, guys. We are absolutely at a precipice of a decision that other companies are going to have to figure out. Do they want to maintain their fragmentation? Google figured it out a long time ago. Google said, hang on, we got like 8 different versions of Android. We really need to shore this up to allow people to have device access and software access on pretty much every platform. Like, we shouldn't make it so that your app might work on these 4 devices and it might not work on these 7 devices. That makes no sense. Developers do not want to build for that Windows phone. Developers do not want to build for that Nokia OS, Web OS, Symbian, Engage. Do we need to keep going? Developers don't want to build for that Amazon Fire. They just want one piece of software and they want to just build for it. And that's, or one hardware, one base to work off of and just build from. Wow.
Microsoft.
It just says Microsoft. Streamlabs dropping it big. Lieutenant Brandt coming in strong. The $10 tip. Appreciate you. Thank you, man. Just says Microsoft. That's all it says. Microsoft. Just Microsoft. She didn't even yell it. She could have been like, Microsoft. Pixie coming in way strong right now. Way hot right now with the gifted sub. This is what I'm talking about. Thank you. Appreciate that. Pixie in the building. That's 20 gifted subs that Pixie has dropped since we started this whole thing just a couple of months ago. Let's go. Let's go. Tied with 50. You're going for the number one spot. I get it, and I love it. It's amazing. Hot Fuego coming in. Fight between Pixie and Big 50. It's gonna be lit. It's gonna be lit, period. Full stop. That's what we know. Hang on, I gotta copy and paste something over from this side. Where is it? I don't even know where it is. Chat. It's the chat. What is it? It's this one. But where is it on here? I don't have it on there. Why don't I have it on there? This one. Copy. Paste. There. That's better. There. Now emotes will fly. That's what we want. I don't know why I don't have things. Things broke the other night when I was trying to set something up and everything broke and I had to reset everything. It was a whole thing. Don't judge me. Point is B Major's in the building. We love B Major because he puts our videos together. What I'm saying is we have to figure it out. Companies need to make a decision. They're actually at a point where they need to figure out if they're going to alienate the people who do not currently exist on their platform, or are they going to reach across the aisle? Now, usually that happens in a position when you're behind. So in the case of Microsoft, I hate saying win and loss because console wars are stupid, but if we look at terms in sales and market base, Microsoft did not come out on top last generation. That's pretty much known and out there, right? So what do we do? What does a company like that do? They have to reach across the aisle and figure some things out. So Game Pass, xCloud, compatibility, backwards compatibility, play anywhere, system resume, like all the features that you love about Xbox came to fruition because of their position in the market. Now, that could have happened in 2013, but Don Matrick was terrible at delivering messages, so that did not occur as quickly as it probably could have. But when you're behind, you make a decision. They thought they could rest on their laurels. Now, flip the script. Sony's thinking the same exact thing. Instead of actually reaching across the aisle, they're charging their existing customer base $100 more to play used games. Let alone the fact that I cannot stand used games and it ruins the market. It's not the best decision for a company that is for the gamer, right? Especially because you're taking that $400 digital console at a loss anyway. So that $6 for that optical disc is not going to make or break your bank on trying to get people onto your platform to stay on your platform if your games are that good. The timed exclusives was a good example of Sony going, okay, hey, this is console exclusive, timed exclusive. Apple, hey, you can't have Epic bossing us around, which is fine. I believe and agree with Apple in that regard. But then to turn around and go, okay, Game Pass, Stadia, you guys can't play ball here either. Go on. You have to decide, do you want to alienate a fan base because you're so big, or do you want to make yourself available to more people? Option B seems to be the answer for a lot of people. It really does. And Pandy just made a good example. I hate that Final Fantasy is timed. I want it so much, but I will not buy a PlayStation 5 for it. A lot more people, especially right now. We look at coronavirus. We look at what has happened to the global supply chain constraint, current job situation. Do not believe anything except facts and data. The reality is economy not doing so well, people out of work. They might not have that discretionary income, which is probably why moving to something like an Xbox is probably the best thing that they could do, because they're putting themselves in a position to either play what they already have and just play more games, or buy something new if they can. They're not forced to. And all of the existing Xbox hardware and software just work. It works with it. That's the smart decision. New hardware came out, same price as the old hardware. Makes sense. No, I get it, Pandy. I'm right with you. And a lot of people have echoed the same exact thing you said. They don't know if they can actually go and get that extra $400. And now, because of supply chain constraints, there were less to go out, so they're sold out anyway, and they're going for triple what they have on eBay. It makes no sense. Xbox is going to run into the same problem tomorrow. Don't get me wrong. They're going to have problems with supply chain. The question is, are they going to be able to rebound from it? I don't know. But for all intents and purposes right now, I'm looking at like 20 games here. and maybe 18 games. And those 18 games are going to be available on Game Pass. Bethesda already said, yes, Microsoft is going to honor existing contracts. So those timed exclusives will be timed. But then after that, who knows what we're going to see. Obsidian was hinting at a either remake or Fallout New Vegas 2. So I don't want to paint this thing like it's a fanboy thing. I'm looking at it from a broader perspective. Xbox Game Studios now has, almost 20, maybe more, 22 game studios underneath the umbrella. All available on Game Pass day one, every new game that comes out. All available across the board. Microsoft has openly said that they want to come across the aisle and put their games on any platform that wants to have their games. Now, before we looked at that and we said, okay, well, that could mean Nintendo. That could mean Apple. Could mean Android. We saw some of that with... breaking news. Hang on, we got a breaking news here. This just in. Let's go to the breaking news room. I'm here in the breaking news studio. By the way, Activision hacked 500,000 accounts affected. Change your passwords immediately. This has been your breaking news. We'll have to change our passwords after this program is complete. Make sure you do that. Yeah. World premiere. Where was I? Yes. So we know that Game Pass is rumored to come to Switch. What could that mean? We don't know yet, but it could mean we see it on Switch by the end of the year. Maybe. I'm told from sources that I cannot confirm or deny that there's at least one more announcement coming. One more announcement coming for Xbox. But now we have to look at, what does this mean for PlayStation? Microsoft has openly said they want to come across the aisle to other people and see what they want to do. Do you want to have a game that we have at Xbox Game Studios over on your platform? Sony has unequivocally stated they don't want it. They don't care. They are not interested. They are not considering it. They want zero Xbox Game Studios. So what does Microsoft do? Okay, cool. That's fine. We'll buy more. Reggie called them out on this, though. Reggie called them out on this. Do you remember Fortnite's... Pandy, I'm going here. Fortnite. Crossplay. Biggest game in the world. Biggest media empire. Biggest way to bridge the gap between pop culture and pop and mainstream and gaming. Finally, it wasn't weird to play video games. Like, it took that long for it to come here and go, this ain't weird. It's normal. NHL players, NBA players, NFL players, they had to ban Fortnite in locker rooms because of how popular the game was. Reggie had to come on there and say, well, Fortnite, this is not, Fortnite says that it's easy to do crossplay, but Sony won't do it. Jasuki in the house. Hey, I said Fortnite 3 times, and the signal shows, and Jasuki shows up. I don't know how that adds up, but how are you? Good to see you. Must have been the Mixer thing, right? Play Fortnite, play Fortnite, play Fortnite. Boom. Mixer cat team shows up. I see you out there, Jasuki. But they said, hey, it's just a switch. You have to turn it on. We got it. We know how to do it. Microsoft said they're down for it. It works across mobile devices. Nintendo's doing it. Reggie came out and said, guys, we talked to Sony and they're not interested. Sorry, if you have an account over on Sony, you can't bring it over to Nintendo. I'm like, this is not news, but apparently it was a big deal because Fortnite is now mainstream. So Sony kind of dug their heels in the sand and said, no, we don't want to do this. This is terrible. After how much pressure did they finally change their tone? And I think you can do that when it's a game that is that big. A game like Call of Duty Modern Warfare. A game like Rocket League. A game like Fortnite. I don't think they expected this. And when you have games like Fallout 76 that didn't do so well, that could have been big, and it flopped, you're not really in a rush position to do that. You're not really in a forced position to make that call and go, well, I kind of have to bring my game to all platforms. And I have to allow myself as a platform to be accepting of that game. I don't think they're in the position to deny it any longer. If we really look at, let me pull this up real quick because it just dawned on me to go pull this up while I was talking about it. If we look at what Xbox Game Studios brings to the table, 343, World's Edge, Coalition, Compulsion, Double Fine, Initiative, In Exile, Mojang, Ninja Theory, Undead Labs, Turn 10, Rare, Playground, Obsidian, and now Bethesda. You can't really deny it any longer, right? We have enough good games coming out of the Microsoft shop in totality that you can't really deny the power the gaming mega giant has. And if you do deny it, that's cool. Microsoft has enough cash on hand to put you out. I don't want that. Let me make sure I'm clear. I don't want a monopoly again. I don't want to go back to 1990 where then we have to go bail out Sony because they're being idiots, give them $150 million, and then they come back. I don't want that. I don't want another Apple. I'd rather just Sony get their head out of their ass and say, okay, this is a good idea. We should open our doors. Exclusivity has killed gaming. We're moving into a digital age. It's literally a switch. We might want to consider stop being so egocentric and go, you know what? It might be a great idea if we take a look at the bigger picture and allow people to play games where they want to play games. It's a piece of plastic now that literally has no difference internally other than the logo that you put at the opening screen. That's it. Otherwise, it's the same. You still charge for gaming now. You're locking things down for no reason. Open your titles. I think it's coming. I really, really do. I think if you have upcoming titles like what we're seeing, you have those two timed exclusives, Deathloop, Ghostwire Tokyo, now owned under the Xbox brand. You have something cooking with Obsidian, something cooking with Bethesda. They said they're not done. They have one more announcement on their side too. Maybe we'll see it around holiday. I don't think you can look at this and go, we don't need it. You kind of have to take it seriously. You kind of have to look at it and go, well, we might want this. This might be a good idea. And if your games are that good and your hardware's that good, own it. Now, problem is, does Sony have, and this is not necessarily a rhetorical question, it's actually a question, does Sony have the video game software development studio staying power to be able to survive without selling hardware? Microsoft has pretty much stated it. If you don't want to buy a Series X, don't do it. If you don't want to buy a Series S, we'd like you to, but don't do it. They are not banking on sales. So if Sony has the staying power to believe in their games, to Judge's point, why are we locking them behind a piece of plastic that you're taking a loss on? It'd be a whole different conversation if you sell the PlayStation 5 at $500 and you make $120, and you sell how many millions of consoles did it sell last year? What, 100 million? Go to VG charts real quick. 113 million PlayStation 4s. So let's assume, given the total constraints of what we're dealing with the industry, you sell 75 million and you make $100 profit. You see the difference? $75 million times $100. You'd be all right. So why it doesn't make sense to take a loss on hardware and live for your hardware. You're losing money. If your games are so good, you can put them anywhere and more people will buy them and everybody would be happy. Can I just take the future Trunks and Frieza fight and plaster Xbox's logo on Trunks and Sony's? I don't know what that is. Trunks and Frieza. What the hell is that? What the hell is that? Question. This is a good question. If Microsoft is going to lock games to Xbox and PC, what's the difference? Or lock games to Game Pass, what's the difference? Well, they're not locking games to Game Pass, right? You can buy the game outside of Game Pass. So that one is solvable. Second one, good question. This is what I was saying. Microsoft has opened its doors and said, if you want to take our games, go for it. We want to make games accessible to everybody. If you want to do it, do it. Now, I've never seen a Dragon Ball Z episode in my entire life. Here's my thought process. They have wanted to openly say, hey, let's put Game Pass on anything that wants Game Pass. We've seen it with Apple, even though Apple didn't work out. So now we're on 3 platforms. We're on Xbox, we're on PC, and we're on Android, right? Let's take it a step further. And my point only really works if this happens. Let me make sure I'm very clear on this. Nintendo says by holiday, they're going to add Game Pass to the Switch. If that happens, it's a wrap, and it proves that Microsoft is actually believing and practicing what they're selling. And if that's the case, there's no reason for Sony not to play ball. Now, we don't know if that's true. It's just the rumor right now, but I'd like to see that happen, and I'd like to think that that's what Microsoft was going for in this entire process. Now, we flip it the other way. How many people don't have an Xbox but have a Windows machine? A lot. There's 1 billion devices that are Windows in the world. A lot of people. We know that. Buying Bethesda, let alone what it can do for consoles and for the 9 game studios and for now the 22 that are underneath the Xbox Game Studios brand, it bolsters the PC buyers, the PC gamers. They love Fallout. They love Prey. They love Dishonored. They love Morrowind. Don't get that twisted. These are games that have a cult-like, core, insane following. Shout out Sassy for the host. Appreciate that. Welcome. They love it. This tapped right into that market. I can say that from a person that reads enough of these forums and looks around and goes, I used to be an anti-Xbox person, but this Game Pass for PC thing is really cool. And you know what really sold it for a lot of those hardcore sim-type people? Flight Simulator. No worries, Sassy. Everything is good on a Monday. I hope you had a great weekend. Welcome. Just chatting about some big news that happened today. That's the conversation we're trying to have here, I think. And I think it takes it a step further if and only if Microsoft makes it available on Nintendo Switch, and maybe even goes a step further because iOS and macOS are inherently different. If they go and they access macOS, and maybe on like a MacBook Pro, you have Game Pass. I wonder if I can get Game Pass on our USPS. What was the game that can pretty much run on anything? I was just listening to a joke about that yesterday, actually. I was listening to, like, it runs on, like, this game. It runs on, like, my Samsung TV or my Samsung refrigerator, and it runs on my TI-83 calculator. It's like, I wonder what it could do, right? But it's probably not as robust as that, but I think we're getting into a point where the next move Microsoft makes, I've said it for a while. Let me go back 1 second. I said it for a while. I've become a little bit disenfranchised with Microsoft as a whole over the last, let's say, 11 months, right? Everything going on with Mixer left a really bad taste in my mouth, right? So the redemption was when Natalia Domingo got fired, rightfully so. I said, okay, I'm going to give you another chance. A lot of decisions that have been made since then have been a little bit better, more pro-consumer than I thought they were going to be, given our current environment of COVID. Doom, that was the game. That was what I was seeing. Doom reportedly worked on a pregnancy test. Yes, that's what I was seeing. It was Doom. I was like, it plays everywhere, right? It's Doom. So, what is it? If that's the case, right? Just saying, if that's the case, I'm of the opinion that it's very plausible we could see Game Pass go to Switch, or at least open the door for xCloud to the Switch. If they do xCloud to the Switch, that could be the best thing ever for gaming, right? You already have that big screen in front of you, and all the hardware is happening outside of your device, so you don't even have to worry about it. Now, if the new Switch comes out, the rumored big boy new Switch, there's no reason you can't have Game Pass on that device, but more importantly, xCloud on the device. Sony doesn't want to give me Ratchet and oh, jeez. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, does Sony? I don't know why, right? If the world and the landscape is changing to no longer be this, and we can go back and recite the exact same thing that happened last console generation, right? We can look at it and we can see that Xbox 360 had zero intention at all to have crossplay when Sony said, guys, we can work together. I can't remember what game it was, but we can work together. It'll be super dope. And they're like, nah, I'm good. Jag says, I wonder, though, what the financial agreement would be. I mean, I don't think it's too difficult for them to do that one, right? Every game downloaded or played, you get a certain cut. There's 15 million Game Pass subscribers right now. 15 million. Rumor has it the Xbox One only sold about 50 to 70 million consoles. You got quite a big loyal fan base there that probably also have a Switch. Let's be honest. The Switch is like owned in everybody's house, and then everybody's got either a PlayStation or an Xbox, right? So, if you look at the grand scope, I don't feel like it's too difficult for them to make that deal happen. I've seen Nintendo make crazier deals. I've seen Sony make crazier deals. Putting a service on the Switch does not seem too difficult, honestly. The only reason I switched from Xbox to PlayStation was the current gen. With current gen was the promise of a Final Fantasy VII remake, and it wasn't delivered until the end of the current gen life, and only released part one of. Rogue, I get it. I admittedly switched over in 2008 for Madden. The MLB reason is a big reason. Well, here's the thing. MLB The Show is going to be cross-platform starting with next year. So that's really a non-issue. Yeah, it's for real. It's going to be on Xbox. I think they said they want to put it on PC and Switch too. Like they want to make some version on Switch. If it's not a closed membership environment, though, where does Nintendo get it? They can make that a cut, though. They can go, okay, every user, they have the data. They did this with Android. Every user that uses it on Android, they worked out a licensing deal. There's a small cut available to Android / Google / Samsung / LG, whoever. It's really weird, though, because every time Google puts Android on a device, Microsoft gets a cut. So then it goes back the other way. Every time an Android user that has a Samsung plays Game Pass, Microsoft gives them a cut. I think that evens out at the back end. Two different accounting firms, but I think it evens out on the backside. That's the problem. Too many hands in the pot, right? MLB forcing Sony to do it. Yeah, probably. Think about how many people, like, if we really look at it, baseball is insanely popular, not only here, but overseas. Putting it over there, it obviously on the Sony PlayStation's a smart decision, but bringing it over to an Xbox just makes sense, right? It's an American thing, right? It just makes sense. Thrifty Lizard, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the Waddle Gang. Good evening. I'll put my... very good. Lieutenant Brand's girlfriend gives me the follow. I appreciate that. Thank you. Welcome to the program. Glad you're here. I don't know why baseball is popular either, but it is. And the fact that it is, and the fact that it's so loyal is really what it comes down to. It's the fact that there are people that are willing to buy season tickets in the middle of summer in Miami to sit in a building where a team loses all the time and do that 80 times a year. I can't explain that, but there's a loyalty you want to tap into in order to make that a reality. Jag, great point. I know they love their services, but I also know that Nintendo is just beginning to understand, and I kind of say this tongue in cheek, but just beginning to understand that people have more than one device. And they learn this with Animal Crossing. They learn this when they realize people access their device on their phone and they want to play Animal Crossing on their phone, so they gave them an Animal Crossing app that doesn't do everything they want it to do, but it's fun to mess around on when they can't be on their Switch. It's literally why they made the Switch, right? They're like, you can bring this with you. This makes sense, which it does, but you can't really put the Switch in your pocket. Nintendo still has to figure out online. Yes, that's also part of it, right? So if I heard the call of my people. If Nintendo can figure out how to leverage online, I think a lot of their problems get solved. But that's aside from the point that Microsoft could possibly help them. It's possible. I'm not saying it's completely realistic. I have no information that can confirm nor deny any of my speculation. I want to make sure that is clear. Dunk says it's actually a whole ploy by Nintendo. They bought stock in cargo shorts. Yeah. Nintendo has ownership majority share in Levi. So for every Nintendo Switch you sell, they want to sell you 5 pairs of cargo shorts. I don't know how it works for the ladies. I guess they're trying to make ladies start wearing cargo shorts. I ain't judging. All I know is 5 pairs of Levi's to 1 Nintendo Switch. That's their ratio. That's what they're trying to do. So many pockets. It's the next way of the future. It's the wave of the future. Animal Crossing is the best when it fits in your pocket. Exactly. I'm starting the new Jerry, write this down. Write this down, Jerry. Nintendo Switch cargo shorts for the ladies. Take that down. Take that down. We're doing it. It's happening right now. Asking for a friend. Pengu, cargo short line coming soon when? But no, I just feel like you have all of these games now that whatever happens in the future, let's let alone the existing 18 or 19 games that are coming with this studio, right? The big ones. Let's assume that's all gone. It doesn't matter. Any game moving forward is going to be on Xbox Game Pass day one. And by all accounts, also on PC through Game Pass, right? We know that. I feel like if it's Bethesda, they want to make sure that they are available on more platforms. And I feel like if you're Microsoft, you want to allow it to be available on more platforms. So why not get it there? It's not like Game Pass games are only available, or Game Studio games are only available on Game Pass. It's not like that. You can still buy the standalone game. You can do that. So make that game available on another platform. Whose court is that ball in? I don't know. I want to say that rests on the shoulders of Sony. And I want to say their culture says no. And I want to say that last generation, their willingness to come across the aisle was merely a play because they knew Microsoft would say no. Could be a little biased. Not really sure. There is a question, though, if they ever do wind up with the equivalent of Netflix originals. They could. They could. I don't know. Like, that's maybe. That's been in the back of my brain for a while. I just don't. They haven't come out and actually hinted towards that. So I don't know it to be true, right? Doing this for as long as I have, I pick up on things that they say when they're not saying things, right? They can't comment on rumors, speculation, but they can't say this, but there hasn't been that but. That makes me feel like there's an Xbox Game Pass exclusive. I really don't think Microsoft wants to lock themselves in exclusives. I talk to enough staff on a day-to-day basis that I firmly believe the culture at Xbox, not Microsoft, but at Xbox, is to open up accessibility to everybody. I don't know by what path. So far, it's PC, Android, Xbox. It's pretty substantial. The problem is it's still the underdog of all three of those verticals, right? It's still the underdog. And not a lot of people play PC. We have numbers to show this. Not the underdog of the platform of which you game on is PC. The underdog of the consoles is Xbox, and the underdog of mobile is Android. We know this. Not globally, talking United States. I don't have global numbers on all of those things. I have global numbers on mobile, and it's not Android, but gaming, it's not counting that. Like, let's talk what we know. US, right? US, UK, Australia, the big markets, right? Asia, we can kind of work in those realms. And Apple being a $1 trillion company, kind of what we want to look at, right? So it's the underdog of all three. What does that mean? It means you have the band of like do-gooders all together. I want to see the big boys come across the table and go, okay, yeah, let's put your game on here too. Because I'm also the person in that boat. I don't have enough time to game as it is with enough. I still want to play Tell Me Why. I still want to play the new Outer Worlds DLC. So when you add more games for me to play, I don't get to play them. And I'm definitely not going to play them if they're on another console. It's just not going to happen. So I have to look at that and consider, okay, where am I going to spend my time? Where am I going to spend my income? And a good example of that, Judge, is Death Stranding. I waited until it comes up on PC. Now I can play it on PC. And the fact that, this is the funniest part, the fact that PlayStation fans sent death threats to Kojima for putting Death Stranding on PC is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in gaming. The fact that you are so insecure about yourself that you don't want to let somebody else enjoy something on a different platform is the most vile form of human emotion on the planet. Hands down. And I can't fathom who in their right mind would be for that and who's okay with that. Like, there's no way Sony's sitting back there going, yeah, I'll PayPal anybody to say it's a terrible thing to put our game on the PC. $50 PayPal to anybody that sends a death threat to Kojima. Makes a brilliant idea. No, that's not happening, right? So I can't necessarily support that kind of line of thinking because it's awful. Maybe Xbox can buy the rights to NHL. I mean, again, this is the conversation that was happening in the Xbox Discord today. People were like, oh, Sony fans are tweeting to Konami and Sega that Sony should buy somebody. Couple of things with all this, first and foremost. One, a company has to want to be willing to sell. You can't just walk in and buy something, right? Like, if you have a car, I can't just go, I'm buying this car from you. It doesn't work that way, right? A, you have to be in a position to be willing to be bought or acquired or sold. That doesn't happen with everybody. Number two, it then has to pass through SEC clearing. It's a convoluted process. Usually it works out just fine. Number three, there has to be enough operating cash to make that a reality. As we just discussed, 2013 to 2019, $8.3 billion. Microsoft just dropped $7.5 billion in cash today for one game studio. Sony couldn't make that in 7 years. Or 6 years, right? They made $8 billion, right? And then number four, there has to be a direct return on that type of investment. And I don't know if it's possible for Sony to be in that position to go and grab a Sega or a Konami and go, all right, we're going to lock you up this way. What I'm hoping is we don't turn into this like buying war of IP. We saw that in tech. It didn't go so well for a while in the early 2010s. I do not want to see the same thing happen for gaming. I'm not sure. I want to believe Xbox's roadmap, that they are willing to be accessible to the masses. I don't know if it's possible. I don't know if it's actually going to be what they do. I don't know if it's going to be what they think. We have to see with action. So far, that's the action. And in hindsight, it's not even, see, that's the thing. If they turn around and do that, fine. Sega's only worth probably like $700 million. Like, they could probably do it, right? But then what does that mean for all the other deals? And that's the bigger issue, Jag. I started the show. Microsoft just told Sony, this ain't the same. We're not the same marketing plan. You're talking video games, I'm talking tech, right? You're talking exclusives, I'm talking big picture accessibility. You're talking Sony, that for like 19 quarters straight, the only profitable part of Sony was PlayStation. And you're talking Microsoft, that continually posts record profits every single quarter for like 25 years. Right? It's not the same. I'm talking Pokemon. You're talking Tamagotchi. You're not even talking Tamagotchi. You're talking the Gigapet. Remember Gigapet? At least Tamagotchi had brand recognition. Gigapet was a joke. You did it right. You definitely did it right. That's what I'm talking about. Big picture difference. I'm talking World of Warcraft. You're talking Club Penguin. Love my Club Penguin. I love my Club Penguin, damn it. That's the difference. And the acquisitions today proved it. It's not the same conversation. So the question is, what happens now, right?